Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to jump on and do some doodling again on my little labels. I had some requests on how to draw some flowers, and so I thought we'd do some doodling today. Some quickie sketches. I am using what is this one? A micron and a 0.1, so a very tiny little nib here. And I'm using some labels. So these are just scrap labels I purchased, I think, from the dollar store. These are 4x2 inch labels. So here's some samples. Just some lilies and some echinacea here. And then I have the big pack of labels that I've used in the past that I got from a thrift shop. And they're just basically the old feeder labels, and I think these are 1x4 inches. So they're really fun to just sketch on, and they are ready to use in a book. So I thought it'd be really fun to sketch along today. I hope you can join me. Grab your inks and your papers and your pens and pencils and a coffee or tea, and let's have some fun. So I'm going to use my usual standard practice here, and I like to use the vintage ink, and this one is Vintage Photo, and I like to dirty up my page. I like to give it a bit of a historical looking sketch, you know, like it's been around the block for a while. So I am just going to dirty up my page. Now this obviously is optional. You could also do this after you've sketched, but I thought we'd do it first. And like all my quickie sketches, it's just about having fun and relaxing, just doodling away, trying to capture form in a relatively quick manner, nothing too serious. Try not to put too much pressure on yourself if you're not comfortable sketching and you're new to sketching. It's all about practice and having fun and relaxing and just enjoying the process. So I'm adding now a little bit of, what's this one called? Brushed corduroy. So that's it for the ink. You can always go in after. And I thought we'd do these doodles again. So I've got all kinds of different ones here. So why don't I just start sketching? And again, you can fast forward or slow down, whatever it is you want to do. I'm going to see if I can pull you a little bit closer. I just have to remember to keep my sketches as I'm moving along here in frame. Okay, let's start with some snowdrops. I've kind of been in the mood to draw some spring-related flowers. I'm itching for spring like everyone else, I'd imagine. So we're going to start with just a little kind of semicircle here with a line across and about halfway down. And again, you can use whatever you've got. I like to use these labels because they are basically ready ephemera when they're sketched. Okay, so I've got my little semicircle. I'm going to pull out a petal here. So sometimes these shapes are a little hard to describe, but you can follow the shape with me. And again, pause me or fast forward, whatever you want to do. So we have these two little pieces that come out. I'm going to do a little piece in the middle here. And again, it's just a squiggly line. And then I'll do a little dark spot here where it kind of has I always forget what that part of the flower is called, the stamen or something like that inside. So I'm going to just pull out some lines here, and again, always following the contour, following the shape and the growth of the petals. And there we go. So that's one little snowdrop. So now let's give the top of the snowdrop just a little texture, just by squiggling. You're going to see a lot of squiggling here. I'm going to do the stem curving back round and back down. And then they have these kind of little caps that peel away, I guess, as the flower emerges. So I'm going to pull that out and over. And then I'm going to go back and thicken up my stem a little now. And again, if you don't like your sketch, you just throw it in a recycle bin or chop it up or reuse it in another way. But every time you pick up the pen or pencil, you're learning something new. and your skills improve over time, over practice, like anything else. You just got to let yourself have a try at it. So there's a snowdrop. So composition wise, I like to kind of fill up the whole label here somehow. I'd like to kind of balance it out. So I'm going to do another one back here that's kind of semi-open, and I'm going to do it coming the other way. So here's my stem coming down. So this one I'm going to put behind. I've drawn this one first, so I'm going to put this one behind. So it stops right here, continues through here, stops again as it hits the flower in front, and then pretend it comes through and then down. So it's kind of fun doodling these because you get to decide what flowers in the back, what flowers in the front, what leaves sit in front, what leaves sit in back. All right, and I'm just going to repeat the process here. So there's that little cap and my stem. Now this one I'm going to do the same with my little semicircle, but I'm going to do the petals a little bit more closed on this one. So it's not fully opened yet. This one hasn't fully opened yet either. They'd flare out more, but this one's a little bit more compact. And there we go. And there's our little snowdrops. That's simple. All right, let's do something else. Let's do a Cosmo. So I'm going to frame here. Okay, let's do Cosmo. So we're going to start with the center, and I just like to kind of dot a center, just so I know where the center of the flower sits. And I tend to do as much as I can flowers on an angle or on a side or an interesting perspective, not just, you know, flat in front of me. So this one I've kind of given myself an oval shape this way. So now I'm going to do these kind of feathery petals. So one, do another one over here. I'm going to do another one, but this one's coming towards me. So I'm going to pull it out and then I'm going to curl it just a little like that. This one's coming at me even more, so it's shorter and it curls right over. And then another one behind that. And then these cosmos are very feathery and they've got these really beautiful lines in them, these rippled lines. So again, following the shape of something, you want to make sure that you're following the contour in which these petals are growing. So this one's coming right at me. I'm trying to keep my hand out the way, so I might be holding my pen a little odd. And there we go. There's the texture. We've got a little foreshortening here. And then we can do a little bit more dark around the center here to make this center of the flower really pop. And then we'll put a little texture in it, and that's that. So now the stem, we'll pull the stem down. And they have these very feathery leaves. So I'm just going to do a line coming up here. And again, slow me down or speed me up, whatever you're comfortable with, and draw along with me. I'd love it. And you can also feel free to tag me on Instagram at the Creative Cove on Instagram. I'd love to see your sketches. I'm also going to upload these on my Etsy shop so that if you want references or anything like that, or maybe you're just not into drawing, you're welcome to jump over there and purchase a little bit. It helps support me, that's for sure. So whatever you like to do, but I would love to hear that you're giving it a go. So there's a leaf there and a stem. I don't think I'm up the stem. So when you draw, you want to make sure that your stems are thick enough and heavy enough to hold the weight of that flower. And I think I'm going to put one more leaf in here just to fill up this negative space a little bit. I put just sketching. So I can't wait for that warm weather to be outside and really get to see these plants. I hope my garden survived this winter. I think it will. It's been a pretty mild winter other than a week or two so far, knock on wood. We've been pretty lucky. So there's a Cosmo. It's got a little bit of form to it. Okay, let's do a thistle. So again, make sure I'm in frame here. really hope you could see me drawing all that. It's so hard. The camera's so low. Okay, so thistle, we'll do one that's in flower. So we're going to have this kind of shape here. If you want to draw along with me, it's kind of hard to, again, to describe these shapes. But here's a little kind of smiley face with a line going up. And then this would have a line going across, but I don't want to draw that line. I just want to draw that line this way, if that makes sense. Because if I draw it this way, the petals don't grow this way, they grow this way. But I want to make sure that the overall shape of the flower is right. So this is a thistle that's in full bloom here. I actually like drawing thistles when they go to seed. I find them so pretty, the seed pods. It's such a beautiful plant, the thistle. So I'm going to curve my lines this way and curve my lines this way. Now I do have an in-depth drawing of how to draw a thistle in more detail. Still a quickie sketch approach. But if you wanted to slow it down and really draw a thistle with lots of detail, head over to there and my other videos and you'll see it there. So I'm just going to scribble here. So you'll see I do a lot of scribbling where I want something more dark and a little more weight to it. So I'm going to do some kind of thorny bits that come out. Yeah, these are really beautiful, clever, interesting plants, these thistles. And we're going to do a stem. Now their stems are pretty stocky because you can imagine the weight of this head here, the flower head. So we'll give it a pretty stocky stem. And then let's give it one of its leaves because it also has these really beautiful, spiky, deadly leaves here. So it's, again, I'm just going to draw most of it without trying to describe the shapes I'm doing. So slow down or speed me up. But I'm basically just doing these pointy, straggly bits where these sharp points are. Like, you definitely don't want to pick a thistle. I mean, you can, but you gotta wear gloves. And as it goes down, it gets a little fatter. And I think we'll put this guy in front of the petal, of the stem, sorry. So I'm going through these pretty quick because I want to try and draw as many as I can without the video being too long. So if you find I am moving too fast, you can change the speed of the video or pause me, whatever you want, but I do hope you're giving it a try. Okay, so there's a little thistle. Pretty quick, these little sketches on these labels, which is nice. Okay, let's do tulip. So we have we want to start with the bottom of the tulip. We're going to go up. Going to do this narrow egg shape, and then maybe we'll do the next egg shape over here, and then one in the middle, and then we've got some leaves and things in the back. And then we'll darken these up a little bit, the ones inside, because that's on the other side of the flower. And I think I'm going to pull this guy down over here. So that's the nice thing about quickie sketches. You can make quite a few adjustments. And it's just about trying and experimenting and practicing, getting a feel for it. Maybe you don't like using an ink pen. Maybe you like using a pencil only. Maybe you like pencil crayons, watercolor, whatever your quickie sketch material is. Just have fun with it and experiment and see what you might just surprise yourself. I've had quite a few compliments. I consider them compliments when I have comments saying that they picked up a pen and gave it a try, and were really, really pleased with their results, that they never thought they could draw. And then they've followed one of my tutorials, and they've ended up doing a doodle that they're really happy with, and that just makes me so happy. Do a leaf here. I think we'll do one behind. So I'm just going to give it some texture. There we go. There's a tulip. All right, what else do we want to do? Let's go back down here, and let's do Lily of the Valley. So we'll do a tiny little kind of funky oval here. Again, I don't have the words to describe these shapes. It's going to do a wiggly circle with a dark spot in the middle. The stem's going to continue. So this flower is facing right at us. This one's on its side. They've got these cute little bell flowers. So we'll do another one. Let's do one over here with the wiggly bottom for the bell and the stem reattaching. You see I'm very loose. There's nothing really accurate here. It's just more of an implied shape, and implied that this is what the plant looks like, the shapes of it. So here's another one that's growing at me. And do one over here. I'm just going to turn my paper a little bit. It's a little bit easier on my wrist. Make sure I'm still in frame. And another little bell. Let's do a bell over this way. Maybe it's a little more open and towards us. Go straight down. So now I can say that this one's behind. Let's do one that's way behind here, right behind the flower. Right, so here's our stem. We'll keep that light, and we'll darken up the flower behind. And then maybe we'll open this one up a little bit by putting a shadow in there. Again, just scribbling, giving it some texture. And then we'll do the leaves. And they're a lot like tulip leaves. They're very thick with textured lines in them. I'll put the stem in the middle, going inside, and then we'll do another leaf back here. And we'll darken this up a little bit back here where it meets the one in front. Line frame. There we go. Give it that ridge texture that they have. I love the smell of these. They do spread like wildfire here, but they're so pretty. And they're just they smell so good. These were my grandma's favorite. So on that note, that was my grandma's favorite. Let's do my mom's favorite, which was a daffodil. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to do a dark little center here. And then I'm going to give it a squiggly line, which is the ruffle of the trumpet. So this one I'm going to do straight on. And then one petal, another one, another one, another one, another one, and one more. There we go. Now I'll give it some texture and some shading. So I'm going to pull the lines, and so you can see I'm going straight, and then I'll curve on the edge of the petal because it's not flat, it curves. And it's that simple to catch that form when you put the lines in the right direction. So this is growing out towards me. I'm going to give this a stem. And then let's do one that's not opened yet. So we'll pull another stem and curve it. So its flower head is not opened, and I think because I darkened here, we'll put this dark, and I've left that kind of, I should have left it a little lighter, but I think we can get away with it. Leave the one in front a little lighter than the one passing behind is what I was trying to say. And then we'll give it its little piece that flares up when it starts to open, but this one's not fully open, so it's kind of twisted on itself. And then the petals are all ruffled inside. So just squiggly lines. And that is one that is not opened yet. And then we can do one more. Maybe that's facing away, so we're facing sideways, so we'll do the ruffle. And I'm just going to do it a little bit wider so I can just put the indication of the opening right there. And then it has its trumpet, which also has texture. And then it has its leaves. So there's a leaf, another leaf. Petals, I should say, not leaves. And we can't really see the other one because it's way on the other side. So we'll just darken up in the center here. And there's another one. I'll pull the stem back over here. I don't like them crossing all in the same spot, but that's okay. We're just sketching. And those are the kinds of things you learn about composition as you go while you're practicing sketching. I'll put a leaf in there. I'll put one right through here. Right behind this guy. And there we go. It's daffodils. That's kind of cute. All right, what else have we got? Let's do, you want to keep going? We'll do daisy. So we're going to do a petal, kind of a short petal like that. That one's coming at us. And then now that I know this is coming at me, I'm just going to dot my center. And then I can build my petals around that. So that one's coming at me. This one's kind of coming at me. This one's semi coming at me. And then they start moving away. And I do a kind of flat edge because it curves over behind itself. This is not the end of the petal. It's just the end of what we can see. And then they are coming around the side here. So I'm going to darken this. We'll do more like a scribble right here. And then we've got to give it its texture. And pull some lines through. So you can see how loose I keep my pen. Just doodling away. And then a stem. And we can do a little indication of a leaf. Don't want to get too much into the leaves, just a little leaf. And then maybe we can do one that hasn't fully opened yet. So I'm going to do the bottom of the flower like this with the stem. Pull it down. And then all the little petals that haven't opened. And that's that. Little sketch. Okay, there's a little daisy. What else? What else did I draw here? Let's do an iris. So again, these labels are really narrowed, right? So you are kind of limited on compositions, but you can capture the form of the plant quite well in these little spaces. And it's really fun because you don't have to, you're not intimidated by a huge page, you know? So here's the center of the iris, and I'm going to curve some wiggly lines going up, curve one on this side, and then another one in here. And then, of course, irises have the fold-down leaves. And one more maybe over here. So you know that this is the center. This is the inside of the flower. These are the leaves that are the petals. Sorry, I get leaves and petals. I say the word wrong all the time. These are the petals that have grown down. And these are the ones that remain up. So I kind of darken the center a little bit because less light would be hitting in here. Even though it's the outside of the flower, it's still less light than all these petals that are sticking out here. Would get a lot more light. Okay, we'll do a stem. I wish irises had a little bit more of a stockier stem because as soon as mine get rain on them, they collapse. Same with peonies. But if you stake them, they are quite lovely to look at. And irises have so many different variations, colors and styles, and rippled and triples and all kinds of fun stuff. So you never know when you buy an iris. Well, I guess you do with the tag, but if you're given one or stumble across one, you're not sure what it is until it blooms. All right, let's do one that hasn't opened. So you do a little bit of a kind of a wonky line here that the flower head is going to sit in. And then pull the stem back down. And then you kind of just do these wiggly lines that wrap around themselves because all of this is wrapped up tight, hasn't opened yet. All right, there's an iris. Couple more. I don't want the video to be too long. Let's do a pansy. Okay, so center of a pansy. So we're going to curve it because it has this funky little pretty frilly leaves that kind of fold on themselves. They're a very trademark looking flower. So again, kind of hard to describe how to draw it. Just going to do these 4 petals and then another petal tucked behind, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to just do that little stamen in the middle, and then they have a dark spot. Kind of these really pretty dark patterns that come out in the center and then go out to whatever color the pansy is. They always have a dark center, whether it's like dark purple or dark pink. And then they have a little bit of texture to them. Just going to darken this center again just to clarify those petals. And then the ruffle. And then the back petal here gets a little bit of shading and texture. So then that has a very thin little stem. Nothing says spring like seeing pansies. And we'll do another one behind it. So we'll do the stem coming up and then sliding down here. Do a couple of little indications of miniature leaves on both these stems. Again, see, just a quick squiggle. And we'll do one that's just opening. So it has the green part that holds the flower, the petals, until it opens, and then some feathery ones inside that have not fully opened yet. Darken where the light wouldn't hit. And there's one that hasn't opened. Or is starting to open. And then maybe another leaf in this little area that's empty. So you just squiggle in. And pansy. Just gonna put some more contour in here just to show the shape. Got these beautiful little petals are ruffling out away from us. Okay, let's do a Let's do one more. Let's do a peony. I love peonies. They're my favorite. Well, they're one of my favorites. I don't really have a favorite. I mean, they're all so pretty, but I do love peonies. So I'm going to do a small peony because peony heads are massive. So I'm going to start with the petal that's closest to me. And then I'm going to do another petal and another petal. And I basically just work my way out with all these squiggly lines. And then I'll come back and I'll fold these lines over because they're ruffled and they like to, it's hard to explain unless you've seen a peony, but they all ruffle over each other, these petals. And I just love drawing that part. So here's that one. You're just going to have to kind of, it's too hard to describe. And especially when it's so small. But you're just going to darken up the center a little bit here. And then we'll draw one that's more closed that might help a little bit. See how the peony looks before it opens. I do these little leaves and then a stem. I'll just put a little bit more shading inside this. Okay, and then let's do one that hasn't opened. So they're these tight, kind of round, tight balls, and inside is all the ruffles that are packed in tight together. And we could do one maybe that is starting to open more. So we can do, again, tight ruffles, and then a couple of pieces that are starting to open. So just loose sketching like that. And it might take a little bit of practice, but again, slow the video down and just give it a try. Have fun with it. And make these really cute little labels. If you have labels or you come across some in the store, I got these at a thrift shop for like $4, and I have a stack of them. But I love sketching on them because I can photocopy and scan all my images, so I get more than one use out of my sketches. But I can use the originals right away inside my little botanical books, which I do all the time. I get kind of impatient and don't photocopy these before I do that. But I will put some on my Etsy shop so you can buy a sheet and use them for what you might like to do with them, or use them as a reference to do your own little sketches. I lied. Let's do one more. I'd like to do a rose. Let's do a rose. So roses, I mostly just squiggle roses because they're so intricate that they can be quite difficult to draw sometimes. So I just kind of do these overlapping squiggles, and they're basically petals that are rolling out towards you in all different directions and rolling away from you. So you can get into a lot of detail with a rose, but if you want to draw one quick, you're basically just drawing these little squiggle lines around the center here. And when you get out towards the ends, you just kind of give it more of a curve. But what you want to do is you want to keep the overall shape of a rose. You know, you don't want to go completely oval. Roses are, well, for the most part, round. There are kind of wild roses that look very different. But they have layers and layers of petals, so they can be very time consuming to draw. They're not my favorite thing to draw, but I've learned how to just make this kind of squiggy implied shape of a rose. And those are the kind of roses I draw. We'll do little marks here to indicate some thorns. And then what I love about roses is actually their leaves. I love these little jagged, ruffled leaves that they have. They're as beautiful as roses are, I do love their leaves, and I love to press their leaves. They just have such a pretty look to them, a beautiful texture to them that I like. So I'm just going to do one more leaf out this way. So you can see, again, not a lot of detail, just kind of grabbing the texture and the ruffled edge of those leaves. And then with those leaves, you can instantly tell it's a rose. So if your rose isn't that great like this one, it's okay because the leaves will make it look like a rose. They'll identify it. All right. That's probably it for today, though. So there's some ideas for you. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some ideas. I hope you followed along with me. Again, you don't have to use the labels, but they sure are fun to do. I do have some other videos on how to draw herbs and more flowers and pencil crayons like that. So if you are interested, just go through the playlist and have a look. And please subscribe and like the channel. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.